When I first came up with this video idea, I wanted it to be a motivational video about fighting through a slump with some good old-fashioned discipline and consistency. But as the week moved on, I realised that I wasn't actually following through on this idea, and creatively, I made some decisions that didn't help me convey my chosen message. The main issue I found was I compromised on everything, which isn't really how discipline works. We'll kick off soon with Monday, but the week prior to this, I had a series of late nights that led me down a quick path to lethargy and low mood. I had a late shift, and I also stayed up late gaming, but I did beat Balatro for the first time, so I didn't mind that too much. The heat was stopping my sleep too, and I was burning the candle at both ends, as they say. I devised a simple 3 goal system that I kind of ignored in the end, but tried to kid myself was working. Let's see where I went wrong. Monday, I got out of bed about 7:30 a.m., and what I really wanted to do was cancel my plans because I had no energy. The night before my big discipline-based narrative started, I had yet another late night. Thankfully, I had no real trouble of getting out of bed. My plan, which I forged on with, was to meet a friend for lunch in New Brighton. I left very early so I could walk a big chunk of the journey, disembarking at Hamilton Square and opting to walk along the Mersey to reach my destination. Looking with an eye to record interesting sights, I noticed just how much fun a proper walk video would be here and vowed to come back and do a more informative walk around these parts. It was an hour and a half walk or thereabouts along the docks of Birkenhead, and then the promenades after stretching all the way to the seaside town. I could have walked the beach from Seacombe, but I'm not the biggest fan of sand, and by the time I found a seat to rest in before I met my friend, I'd already hit over 12,000 steps. We had lunch, built some sandcastles of course, which isn't as bad as trying to walk a long distance on a beach, and ate an obligatory ice cream. Then I bid them farewell, got home around 5:30 and was solidly happy that the day had been successfully filled. Tuesday was a paid shift day, so I was up and about by 8 a.m. I had a meeting about my voluntary marketing and I worked in the cafe kitchen without getting footage as I felt it unprofessional to video diary the shift. I then went home and was content that I'd done enough with my day, so I relaxed watching YouTube and writing a checklist for Wednesday. 7:30 and I made sure that by 9 I was achieving my checklist. First and foremost, I finished and emailed a draft of a blog post for my voluntary marketing because this freed me up to focus on YouTube for the rest of the day. I started by recording a one-shot vlog update that I'll be posting before this video, and then I forced myself to post a chilly video that I'm pretty sure no one watched. I had seen too many videos about how to run a YouTube channel and got into my own head. I felt posting a video I wasn't happy with was the cure. After a quick afternoon walk for some steps, I then did a preliminary edit of the video I'd recorded that morning. Beyond this, I did some scripting and recording of now defunct narration for this video. I was cut short at about 2:30 p.m. by my neighbour trimming his hedges and ruining the audio, so I played video games instead. I did nothing else of note that day. Thursday was another paid shift, so another day of no footage there. But I was happy with my 9-5. The only other thing of note for today was that I walked home from work instead of getting a lift, thus increasing my step count. Friday was a big day out. Starting with breakfast and a pint at about 10:30, me and my mates headed to Lark Lane in Liverpool for another swift pint before we hit up the Radio 1 big weekend opening day. I lunched on duck and chips, and we had a few more beers in the sun, waiting for the sets to start. We saw the Wombats open and celebrated the irony of dancing to Joy Division. Next was Natasha Bedingfield under the last of the day's sun, and we actually got to feel the rain on our skin not long after. We finished the day with Biffy Clyro, and I couldn't think of a good line to quote from Many of Horror, but the crowd sure did collide and come together to sing it with gusto. I've obviously redacted all the sound here for the sake of not being copyrighted, but it's also saving your ears from my singing too. Allowing ourselves to be rained off, we skipped the headliner who we didn't really need to see, and I was home and in bed by 11 p.m. Saturday was even more of a day off than Friday. I did 2,200 steps all day, recorded no real footage, but I did do some laundry and other chores before a nice chill day with my girlfriend. We watched Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I really enjoyed. I was up until midnight reworking this script and realising just how wrong I'd been doing with my week. On Sunday, I spent the 9-5 completely rewriting the script for this video to one that suited me as a person. I did a few walks, as I had a load of time, and in the evening prepared myself for a week where I wouldn't be thinking about angles and videos every day, but somehow still failing to get adequate footage. This may not seem like a video where I've done anything useful, but after I failed my original goals, I still wanted to use the footage, so here we are. Enjoy the rest of my B-roll from the week as a backdrop to my rambling. The 3 goals I'd tried to live by were: 1. To walk an average of 15,000 steps a day, which I failed. Average was about 12,099, which isn't far off, but if I hadn't had a full day where I only did 2,200 steps, might have actually been a success. 2. To work all but one day, 9-5, either paid or towards my unpaid goals, which I failed by having multiple days off and doing my work at random times. And number 3, I was to be asleep by about 11:30 p.m. to be up by 7:30 every day, which was probably the goal I was closest to achieving fully if it weren't for Saturday night's revelations into my failures. So at the end of the week, looking back at my compromises of 3 days off the 9-5 grind and 2 days where I barely got close to 15,000 steps, I just stopped following the script that was forcing a narrative. I could argue that social time was progression towards my goals, but that wouldn't be very disciplined consistency of me. I definitely got through the slump, but through compromise and being true to what I needed first. The goals and my actual targets for learning and working all took a back seat to social endeavours and actual healing. I'm not the corporate bro I pretend to be. I am actually quite lazy, and I cannot even spell consistency. I don't want there to be a real lesson here, but as a conclusion, just be true to yourself. Don't let YouTubers get into your head with their advice, and as always, keep on questing.